Hello, and welcome to another episode of In Devotion and Creation with Alyssa. Today, we are going to talk about one of my favorite topics, and that is the language of the body. Oh my. The language of the body is really, I would say, one of the first languages that we're in touch with. If you think about when we're in utero, we're connected to our mother's body. We are dependent on it, actually. And hmm, what a beautiful thing it is to live a life where one has relationship to and with the body and how it speaks. And even that it speaks, because I believe in our culture, well, in Western culture and specifically culture in the United States, there still can be a tendency for many people to be very of the mind and to be disconnected from their bodies and from the fullness of what our bodies are wanting to communicate to us and through us. So, I want to share a little bit about my experience with ecstatic dance because this is one of the spaces where I have really gotten to become in touch with the language of my body. And I love this space. Love, I love that ecstatic dance is a thing that exists in the world and all over the world. So let me share a little bit about that first. So, ecstatic dance, as you can imagine, has happened for a very long time. People have danced ecstatically in ceremonies for my research last night suggested between 40,000 and 70,000 years back in human history, based on cave drawings. We have been engaging with music, and um, I am so grateful that one of the modern expressions of that has really come to be such a beautiful community across the world. And so the modern understanding of ecstatic dance, if you search for it, if you hear of an ecstatic dance happening, originated in part, credit where credit is due, through the teachings of five rhythms, a method of dance developed by a woman named Gabrielle Roth in the 70s, who was very interested in studying trance dance and shamanism. But the ecstatic dance community that we know of now was really seeded in Hawaii around the year 2000. And then in 2008, Oakland, California, two people named Tyler Bank and Donna Carroll held an event simply called Ecstatic Dance. And now they happen all over the world. So I went to my first ecstatic dance sometime when I lived in Austin, which was from 2011 to 2018. And I don't remember exactly the first time I went to a few, and I really loved it. And I didn't at that time get as drawn into it as I did when I moved to New York City. And I'm going to tell you the story of when I first walked into the ecstatic dance in New York City, the most popular, um, most well attended uh, outpicturing of ecstatic dance. in New York City. It was 2018 and I had just moved here and I walked into Judson Church and I felt completely overwhelmed. You guys, I felt completely overwhelmed by the amount of expression that was in that room. Okay. The amount of freedom in people's bodies. I was like, wait, I've been to ecstatic dance before, but I feel like New York is just different. Maybe, there's been theories that New Yorkers are just can be so on the go and so focused on mission, right? That coming into an ecstatic dance space, like we have even more to release, unleash, move. Either way, I danced, but I don't really remember feeling very connected to my body, and I definitely felt uh, had some judgments on myself for not being as expressed as I could be. I feel like I was gentle about it, if I'm recalling correctly. And I was just so glad that that community existed because it was one of the communities that when I first moved to New York, I was able to, plug into and meet people, find out about other events happening in New York like that. But wow, I understand now why people have that experience at ecstatic dance of feeling so overwhelmed. Um, it is not every day that we come into a room of people who are so expressed in their body, where there is such a field of permission and such a powerful invitation to just be here and dance whatever you got, whatever you got. So I went a couple of times, and then it was maybe a year and a half later that COVID happened. And of course, the whole world changed and lots of things stopped. And at the end of 2020, began traveling. I was traveling I was essentially nomadic for a year and a half. I was 6 months out of the States, 6 months in the States, then 6 months out of the States. I hopped around to South Africa on a wild and random invitation, and then Sri Lanka. I spent some time in Italy and France, at least a week in Greece, which was amazing. But all of those places are just I hold so tenderly and deeply in my heart. Um, so when I returned, the reason why I wanted to share all this is because when I returned to New York, it was summer 2022. My body was so worn out from all the travel. I felt tired. I felt exhausted, like on a cellular level, exhausted. And I felt really unrooted. And I knew as soon as I got back here that I needed to start going to ecstatic dance, that would be a place to anchor myself, to literally anchor my body, like create a ritual of going to this space no matter how I felt, right? And beginning to listen and also just allowing myself to express. And I didn't know at the time how life-changing that was going to be for me. So I continued to go to ecstatic dance, and then it was in December 2022 that I, through the ecstatic dance community in New York, was invited to the first Dance Beyond, my first Dance Beyond winter retreat, which happened in upstate New York. And oh my goodness, being able to be in a space for an entire weekend with a couple hundred people entirely focused on the body, entirely focused on the dance with ourselves, with one another. It was so incredibly beautiful, important, and hmm, I remember there being a moment where I realized that in all my hurrying through my life, I had gotten so uprooted that at that retreat, I had, in the midst of this dance, I went into this trance state and I had this vision of myself as a tree. And I thought to myself, wait, like a tree doesn't go out and try to make things happen and try to give people shade and give people fruit. Like it doesn't leave its place to do all of that. It just stands, it just stays rooted where it is. And people come to it. Oh, y'all, this is a lesson that landed in my body on the dance floor. So I'm so here for us to learn in all the ways. I love to read. I love to intellectualize about things, very much so. But the language of the body is one that we get to really tune in to through dance. And so for the rest of my days, I will champion spaces where we get to dance. Hmm. Why is this so important? When I am on a dance floor, I get to listen to the different parts of myself speak. I get to feel where there's ache. I get to feel where there's a desire for more freedom, more movement. And I think that there are a lot of people who are afraid of taking that moment, that time to actually be present with themselves. And even on an ecstatic dance floor, people can be dancing and are at all different kinds of levels of self attunement, but it is like a dojo. It is like a, well, and let me be clear, it's a space where you can come and you can just dance. You don't have to be having this conversation with yourself, right? You can literally just dance. You can just chill. You can watch people dance, you know? No shoes, no phones, no talking on the dance floor. Simple rules. But our connection to our interiority is something that our connection to our interiority is something that only we can create. And that is why the dance floor has become such a precious, prayerful, and celebratory space for me, and a space that I get to show up to over and over and over again. And one of the beautiful things about being in ecstatic dance and conscious dance spaces is it has it has helped me get in touch with my body in such a joyful way that I can't not take that expression into any place that I dance. So when I'm at the nightclub or when I'm at an electronic music show or when I'm walking through Washington Square Park and there's a band playing on a Sunday afternoon and I'm the only dancer. People joined me. This happened this past weekend. It was glorious. I take that embodied experience of freedom, and that is a gift that no one else could have given me. And it is a gift that I invite more people to take, to receive, if not ecstatic dance, partnered dance, if not partnered dance, dancing on your own to music in your home. And, as a woman, I will say the more that I have gotten in touch with my body and how my body feels, what my body feels, where it feels, whatever it feels, being able to actually attune to that has impacted so many areas of my life. Our bodies are like tuning forks for truth. When we actually listen, we cannot deny what it's saying. Feeling the sensations in the body, being willing to actually be with them, feeling what wants to move in the body, feeling the feelings that arise while I move my body. This has helped guide my decision making in my life. Because if I'm on a dance floor and I know how it feels to feel open and free and expressed, if there's a place in my life, and there have been places in my life in the past few years where I notice, wow, my body is constricted. My shoulders are tense, right? Like my stomach feels, oh, I don't feel freedom in my movement. Those are all pointing to something, right? Either that whatever the situation or the circumstance that I'm in, it's an invitation to bring greater awareness and relaxation to my body in this present moment. But it's also if I consistently feel those feelings of discomfort around a certain person or in a certain situation, that's really, really important information for me to have. And when people are not in tune with that, with what the body is speaking, when we, oh, even worse, override it, which I have also done. I have kept relationships in my life that did not feel good for a long time and convinced myself, well, this is just how it goes, right? This is how it goes. No. Sure, there's going to be moments in relationships where we meet, moments of challenge and contraction. But if there is a relationship that consistently has the body in a state of contraction, in a state of like fearfulness around expression, listening to that could be the difference between staying in that relationship for years and years, even decades, or recognizing, wow, is this really the way that I want to feel in my body for the rest of my life? This could be a job as well. This could be a community. This could be a group of friends, right? Anything, wherever we place our bodies, for us to actually attune to how do I feel here? And to really discover like what feels good. Again, no one can do this for us. We have to be the ones who are willing to step on the dance floor and listen. And now, I suppose, well, of course, I should say, we can get in tune with that, with our bodies through meditation, right? Through yoga, through stretching, breathing practices. There is something specific around dance that it's like we're not just getting in tune with what our body is speaking, but we're able to become channels for expression and like the body as a creative force. And when one is in touch with the body as a creative force, one can be in touch with oneself as a creative force. If I can create, if I can create a dance, whatever it looks like, I can create a dance with my movement. I know myself on a somatic level as a creator. And I am so here for us as human beings all across the planet to awaken to that we are creators. Because when one is awake to their mm, that their essence as a creator, we are in touch with that we are at choice. Because to create is to be so rooted in that I have a choice. I have a choice in how this dance will go. I have a choice in whether I let myself really be expressed in exactly how I wish to be expressed. I have a choice of where to put my arm. I have a choice of what to do with my head. I have a choice of what to do with my hips. I have this just spidey sense that being aware of, again, the language of the body and the choices that we have in the body for our forms of expression directly correlate to the awareness of that we have choice in our lives. And one of the one of the really beautiful things I've noticed is the kinds of conversations that I have, the kinds of people who show up to ecstatic dance and conscious dance spaces. They're so often different, just different in the sense that my experience has been conversation flows with so much more ease. There's such thoughtfulness, such willingness and ability to hold nuance. This isn't true for every single person, right? But I've just noticed, like, culturally, I'm like, oh, are the kinds of people that come to ecstatic dance or conscious dance already like this? And I feel it's both. It's the kinds of people who are already of that kind of embodiment, already of that kind of way of being, show up to ecstatic dance, but and conscious dance spaces. But these spaces also shape people. For example, if you are on an ecstatic dance floor and the invitation is for people to be expressed however they wish. One of the one of the things that we get to grapple with, if this is a thing that comes up for us, is judging someone else's dance or judging our own, right? Now, think about that out in the world, just in conversation with people. If I'm more aware, if I'm becoming more aware on a dance floor of those moments where, wow, like I'm really judging myself a lot right now for how I'm dancing, or I'm really judging that person a lot for how they're dancing. Think of how that translates in conversation or just out in the world engaging with other people. The way that we attune to our own bodies and to other bodies on the dance floor completely translates to how we attune to how we communicate with other people, other bodies out in the world. And to me, that is so beautiful. I think that one of the most important things we could do on this planet is dance with each other. I think that that's why we have seen the rise, meteoric rise of the music festival in recent decades. Remember, Woodstock was not that long ago, and that was a massive experience in music and dance and, people coming together in celebration to move their bodies. And now there's music festivals happening everywhere, all over the world. All the raves of the 90s and the culture that has come out of that, the electronic music culture. So, my friends, part of the reason that I have so much faith, part of the reason I have so much faith is because I see people dance. I feel so moved just saying that because it is so true. I think it is one of the best things. Dance is one of the best things that we could do for ourselves, for each other, and for the world. And learning to listen and speak the language of the body, of our body, and care to listen to the language of other people's bodies is such a gift. This is also why I went down the path of becoming a DJ, which a man in my life who was very wise in this regard saw about me that I loved dancing and I love music. So he thought I would make a good DJ, and bless him. We'll thank him for forevermore for seeing that in me. Because, yeah, conducting a dance floor feels so satisfying. And I'm sure I'll share more about that in future episodes. um, I very much look forward to being on more dance floors with all of you. And until then, may you find some on your own and thoroughly, thoroughly enjoy yourself. I love you. Blessings.